With 15 days until Election Day, both Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump are pulling out all the stops to win over undecided voters in battleground states. Harris is focusing on the blue wall states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, while Trump is making 3 stops in North Carolina. The former president is right now holding a rally in Greenville, but first he visited Asheville to survey damage from Hurricane Helene, where he spoke with those whose homes and businesses were damaged and commented on the government's response.
In the wake of this horrible storm, many Americans in this region felt helpless and abandoned and left behind by their government. And yet in North Carolina's hour of desperation, the American people answered the call, much more so than your federal government, unfortunately.
Meanwhile, the vice president started her battleground blitz today with a campaign event in Malvern, Pennsylvania, where she was joined by former Representative Liz Cheney, a lifelong Republican with strong ties to the party. Harris took a moment to say this about her opponent.
There are things that he says that will be the subject of skits and laughter and jokes. But words have meaning coming from someone who aspires to stand behind the seal of the President of the United States.
CBS News campaign reporter Zak Hudak is following the Harris campaign for us. So, Zak, Vice President Harris is back traveling with former Representative Liz Cheney today. What is the main message they're trying to get out to win over voters? And do we know if it's working?
Lindsay, the message is that, frankly, Donald Trump being back in the White House would be dangerous for the country. That's the message that Liz Cheney for the past few years has been yelling basically anytime that she has a platform to do so. I don't know that it will really have much of an impact on Republicans, because as we've seen, Liz Cheney was cast out by the Republican Party. She was stripped of her number 3 position within House GOP leadership and eventually lost her House seat. And that was all the result of serving on the January 6th Select Committee as an appointee of, at the time, Speaker Nancy Pelosi. So I don't know how much credibility former Congresswoman Cheney really has with Republicans at this stage. But what she does have is she's a voice who could speak to moderate Democrats who might be concerned about how progressive Harris could be and things like that. She does give them a counter to those concerns by saying, well, hey, look, wait a minute. Donald Trump could be an actual danger to the country if he's back in the White House.
And Harris has shifted her tone in recent days, speaking more about what she views as the dangers of a Trump presidency. What can you tell us about how she's essentially prosecuting the case?
Lindsay, I think what it is that we are in this final stretch. We are 15 days out now, and they need to do whatever they are going to do to push things over the top. So we are seeing her, as you said, be, frankly, more aggressive than we've ever seen her toward former President Trump, doing things sort of in line with things that he does at rallies. She's been playing clips of him to show how extreme he can be at times. And we've actually seen him reacting more strongly to her. He referred to her with a bad word just the other day, referring to her time as vice president. And I don't want to read too much into that, but it seems like he is getting somewhat fired up as she has gotten a little more personal in her attacks on him. I think we're going to see him continue to get more personal in his attacks on her.
Well, new campaign finance numbers show Harris has set a record, raising $1 billion in the quarter ending September 30th. How does that help her in the final stretch?
Lindsay, it allows her to focus on places in battleground states where there is a dense population. That's places like Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Milwaukee, Detroit. We know that just throughout this general election cycle, $1 out of $5 that have been spent on this election have been spent in Pennsylvania. So we can expect a lot of that money to continue pouring into that state. But really what that comes down to is getting on the airwaves and getting in front of as many eyeballs as possible in those densely populated areas where she needs high turnout in those urban areas in order to beat Donald Trump in those blue wall states and other battleground states.
Zak Hudak, thank you.